All right, what's up, my friends? We got our big ban announcement. Finally, better late than never. Although never late is better. And November 10th here, big announcement across multiple formats. We're going to go over all of them. The big one, of course, being standard. Vivi or in a tier.
Get off my plane.
Finally. And this is just absolutely no foregone conclusion. Should have been banned 2 months ago. I had to cover multiple Spotlight Series events that were pretty damn dull because Vivi was still legal, and it was the best deck by a wide margin, and there wasn't really a fun way to spin it, honestly. But thankfully, Vivi is finally banned. Vivi Cauldron is going to go down as, honestly, one of the best standard decks, perhaps in the history of, barring, like, Urza Saga, Memory Jar, turn 1 kills or whatever. Vivi Cauldron was the pinnacle of standard decks. It could do literally anything. It had an extremely powerful and potent fair game plan, a great combo game plan, interaction for basically everything. You just couldn't really attack it on any one angle. Like, a lot of good standard decks, you could still, just say, I'm going to build a deck that only beats this deck and nothing else, and do it. And Vivi, you couldn't even really do that. It was that well-rounded. So Vivi being banned is just an absolute foregone conclusion. I would have bet everything I possibly own on this. There was talk of possibly banning Cauldron instead. I think that's a mistake for 2 reasons. One, Cauldron just doing absolutely nothing without Vivi. It's kind of like a fun Johnny card, folks want to build around, very aspirational. And 2, there's a very good chance that if you ban just Cauldron, Vivi still ends up being one of the best decks. Not as important of a centerpiece. I think that, Vivi in like an Izzet Prowess kind of deck or whatever, maybe a 2 or a 3 of. But even then, just get out of here. We're done with that. That's not necessary place we need to go. And a really bad spot to be after banning a card is having the card that could have been banned still really, really good. So Vivi, get out of here. You're done. I'm happy. You're happy. Everyone's happy. But wait, there's more. Billy Mays here. Screaming Nemesis is also banned. And Screaming Nemesis, a very potent card in certain matchups. Obviously, Mono Red is the second most played deck, partly because it was just good against Vivi. I think that with Vivi Cauldron gone, Mono Red is not as threatening as it was. Screaming Nemesis is a pretty annoying card, though. Annoying in that, it's always has a good floor, right? It's always just fine. 3/3 haste for 3 is certainly serviceable. But in matchups where the deck couldn't directly kill it, so maybe you're playing a Gruul deck or a Mono Red Mirror, or you're playing in some sort of green ramp deck or whatever, where you're not playing explicitly targeted removal spells. Basically, you're not playing black or white. Nemesis was really, really annoying. And then against those decks, like a deck playing, Nowhere to Run or whatever, it wasn't very good. It was just very mediocre. And that kind of polarizing card tends to be not that fun because of how bad it feels when you're just playing green ramp and you just, I'm going to answer this card. It's very, very annoying. So Nemesis being banned isn't one I really had on my bingo card, but it's also one that I'm not sad about. It's fine. I own 4 Nemesis. I'm now out however much, money they're going to go down, but whatever. It's fine. It is what it is. This is a ban that I don't think many folks will be, screaming to the hills about. And I think also trying to slow down standard is not a bad thing to do. So making mono red decks worse makes a lot of sense. But then we come to our third ban. We have Prof's Eidetic Memory. Now, this was kind of the plan B/plan A of Vivi Cauldron that made Vivi Cauldron so good. And this one is one I'm also not particularly sad that they're banning, but I don't know if it was necessary. The big reason why Profs was so good in the Cauldron decks is because Cauldron was able to attack on 2 angles that were extremely different. So the combo Cauldron plan of putting a Vivi under a Cauldron was really, really good against anything that would be good against Prof's Eidetic Memory and vice versa. So if you're like a fast mono red deck and you're trying to beat them before they can set up their Vivi Cauldron stuff, or you have graveyard hate, you lose to the Profs and just like large sizing of creatures. If you're a deck that's good if you're a deck that's good at going over the top, maybe you're some sort of ramp deck or some big go big deck or a uni deck, then you're actually pretty good against the Prof stuff, but really weak to the Vivi Cauldron combo stuff. So removing the combo things out of that equation makes it much easier to attack the Prof's Eidetic Memory part of the deck. Therefore, a deck focused on only Profs and not having that really strong plan A/B, I think it's much more manageable. I think Profs wasn't really like a super great card leading up to Vivi. You know, we played it in our like Jeskai Akios deck at the Pro Tour. It was pretty good there. But I don't know. You know, in the article, they talk about Winter Night Stories and Riddler being really big card additions, making props really, really good. I think props still would be really, really good. So I think this is fine. I think this is a fine, okay, preemptive ban. Not preemptive in the sense that like it was in the best deck, but the best deck just got changed. But yeah, I think this is fine. Kind of like Up the Beanstalk, where it's hard to interact with, where you don't really want to kill it because they've already gotten a card off of it, but it makes a pretty huge impact on the game. So props is gone. And that's it. There are no other bans. So I kind of wouldn't have not minded seeing a card from Dimir Midrange go. That was, you know, one of the top dogs in the format before Vivi kind of took over. And Dimir Midrange, you know, is a very punishing deck. A lot of removal spells, a really fast clock with Enduring Curiosity and Kaido. You know, a lot of good removal spells and counter spells, and kind of able to tailor and beat everything, and pretty frustrating to play against. So I think play pattern wise would not have minded seeing like Enduring Curiosity banned. Or some card from that deck. I don't think this is monumentally necessary. And if you know me, I'm usually pretty anti-ban. You know, the less you can ban, the better. But we're also in a spot right now where the format is so messy and bad that like taking an axe to it is totally fine. And definitely somewhat self-inflicted, where Wizards could have banned Vivi 2 months ago, and we wouldn't have this feeling of just like being under the dead weight of this dead format. You know, we saw barely 500 players, less Spotlight Series. RSQs aren't firing. It's really bad out there. So from being really good, you know, since up until the last few months, Standard was the best format in Magic for like a year and a half. It really was phenomenal. And there is a pretty good Standard format in there as well after a few of these cards are banned. Just make sure you peel back the right layers. So that is Standard. Next up is Pioneer, kind of a lost format. Pioneer does still exist.
Inconceivable.
I know, right? I think Pioneer is great, honestly. I play Pioneer on Arena a lot. Pretty sad they don't have a Pro Tour for Pioneer, or, you know, a Spotlight or two. Just, you know, throw me a freaking bone kind of thing. But still played on Magic Online, still played on Arena, and still being dominated by Mono Red. You know, almost the standard Mono Red deck that got banned a lot is legal in Pioneer, and it's been very, very popular there. So Heartfire Hero is once again KO'd for another format. Sorry, Heartfire Hero, you're out of here. And that makes total sense. You know, Mono Red's just really, really good in Pioneer. Again, speed of format wise, you just don't want your best deck to be a deck that's killing on turn 3 or 4 consistently. Puts a lot of weight and pressure onto other decks that are trying to have fun or brew or kind of like do other things, because it just makes it really, really hard to do those things. So Heartfire Hero is banned, no other changes. Pioneer has not seen a lot of competitive play lately, so it's kind of hard to know what is actually really good, but that one was quite clear, and not sad to see it. In Modern, we've got no changes, which makes a lot of sense, honestly. Last RC was great, honestly. Really, really fun event. We have another one coming up in Vegas in a few weeks. I'll be there, of course, doing coverage. It'll be really, really fun. But yeah, Modern is, you know, you may not necessarily like Modern or be, you know, like some of the gameplay patterns, but Modern is what Modern is, and it's super healthy. Metagame is super wide open, and no changes makes a lot of sense. Next up is Legacy, and admittedly, I have not played much Legacy in recent years, but I know Entomb has been a pretty big deal. They tried banning Troll of Khazad-dûm to try and like make Entomb decks have to be more like focused on the combo, but Entomb just busted. It's an absolutely busted card. It is a tutor that is also a combo piece for the cheapest possible cost, and I'm not surprised to see it banned at all. Again, haven't played much Legacy, but there you go. And then Nadu. Get out of here on another format.
Get off my
You're out of here,
plane.
Nadu. Sorry. Nadu alongside all the Encore creatures. Really, really good in Legacy, apparently. And now that's gone as well. So good riddance to Nadu on another format. Entomb finally gets banned. I'm sure Legacy players are pretty happy about that. And if you are, great. In Pauper, we see High Tide is banned, which, again, I don't play a lot of Paupers, so I don't have much to say about that, but kind of makes sense, I suppose. Frantic Search and Friends are legal, some sort of combo deck. I don't know. So, Pauper players, sound off in the comments. Let me know what you think. That's not really my department. Next up is some big historic pre-bans. So we have Force of Negation, Frantic Search, Mystical Tutor, Entomb, and Dark Depths, all coming from bonus sheets and stuff and Jumpstart for Avatar. And these are all going to be pre-banned in Historic for various reasons. No free spells is one of the hallmarks of a Historic format. And then, of course, combo enablers here, Mystical Tutor, Frantic Search, Entomb, Dark Depth, all do the things that they're going to do, Thespian Stage, Entomb, and so on. So the big thing I want to call out on this is none of this is very surprising, but in the article, they explicitly call out the fact that Historic has changed monumentally in the last year or two. And they are going to re-examine sort of like the philosophy of what they want Historic to be because of all these powerful cards coming in. And that gives me a little bit of hope because I think Historic used to be a really fun Brewers format. Once all these Modern Horizons cards got added and all these extra bonus sheet cards at this insane rate, it's gotten really, really powerful. And most importantly, they explicitly call out the fact that there is now a much smaller basically brew window in Historic where almost all of the top decks contain the top cards, and that is not a good thing. Where Historic used to be this big Brewers format. They don't say it exactly in those words, but they do mention that in the article, which makes me very happy because I would love for Historic to return to what it was a few years ago, where it was the best format in Magic and the perfect Brewers format. And lastly, for all of you Brawl players who've also been kind of frustrated with this huge influx of insanely powerful cards, insanely powerful cards are getting out of here.
They have a warrant for your arrest.
Strip Mine,
You're going to jail.
Mana Drain, Chromox, Ancient Tomb, all gone from Brawl. So Strip Mine, of course, one of the most obnoxious cards in Brawl. There's many, many ways to recur it and tutor for it. So strip blocking your opponent in a casual format is probably a thing that shouldn't happen. Just saying, probably not. And then cutting out a few of the power level outliers like Mana Drain, Chromox, and Ancient Tomb. There's some talk in the article also about possibly having like a competitive Brawl and a casual Brawl. I don't hate the idea of that, but at the same time, I think making more formats is not necessarily a great place to be. Splintering the player base is kind of rough. So, but cool to see for all you Brawl players out there. That's a format that I've kind of wanted to play, but I haven't really had time. So if you want to see me play Brawl, please let me know in the comments. So that's it. Pretty huge announcement. Of course, let me know your thoughts in the comments. As always, be sure you like, comment, subscribe, support the content. We got 10 new brews coming up in 2 days for Avatar. You should be super excited for that. Full set review for Avatar is already up. Go watch that. Go check out my new Riftbound channel called Arcane Academy. Lots going on. Pretty exciting. And of course, we got Bronze for the premiering as well, too. So like, comment, subscribe. Thanks for watching. I'll see you next time.